This is the MetaMan with maybe the most important video I've ever released in this MetaMan Rock series, because this is about the number one coin, the number one coin.
The MetaMan rocks!
I'm going to first give you an update on the fundamentals of this amazing coin, and then I'm going to give you my shocking prediction for 2022 and my shocking prediction for 2025. Stay to the very end, because the first part is about why this is an important coin, and the second part is exactly what that translates to in terms of your wealth going up. Now, of course, this is education and entertainment only. It is not investment advice. But having said that, let's learn. First thing we need to do is update your knowledge of the Render token. On your screen now, you can see that Ethereum whales. Now, first, let me describe. An Ethereum whale is an investor that holds 1,000 Ethereum in their wallet. Ethereum whales are pouncing on little known altcoin that Coinbase just listed. And what is that coin? That is Render. And let's read this together. Data from whale surveying platform Whale Stats shows that the deep-pocketed crypto investors are buying the low-cap altcoin Render, RNDR. Why? Because, well, I'm going to be telling you, this is so exciting. And there's a Whale Stats / Baby Whale on Twitter that says, just in, Render now on the top 10 purchase tokens by the 1,000 biggest Ethereum wallets. You take the 1,000 biggest Ethereum whales, and what is their biggest token that they're buying? It's Render. The top 1,000 Ethereum whales are hodling 35 million Render tokens. Now, here's the deal. Do what the whales are doing. Always do what the whales are doing. Don't listen to your friends or your neighbors, and don't listen to hot tips, and don't listen to somebody announcing on YouTube that some coin is going to go up 1,000,000x. Watch the whales. Watch the whales. Now, I've taken this from the white paper of Render. We are on the cusp of a technological transformation of our very view of reality, affecting everything from computation to physics. Everything is becoming more virtual, from people on the street glued to their smartphones to engineers producing new realities, augmented and virtual, that allow us to immerse ourselves in a new computer-generated world. As entertainment companies adopt these new ways of producing new visual effects, content creators and editors find themselves facing new dimensions of complexity. However, larger and more complex jobs spanning thousands and actually millions of frames across time for animations and across space for VR walkthroughs require external servers and additional resources. No system has existed that scales rendering speed across many dimensions of work in order to allow content creators to tap into the vast pool of, oh, baloney. Instead of reading all that, why don't I tell you what the heck it means? What it means is that if you create content and you need to render it, you don't even know necessarily how it works or what it does, but when you finish making a YouTube video or when you finish doing a Zoom call, you can't immediately use that video. Why? It takes a while, and you think it's buffering or processing. It is, but the technical term is rendering. And there's NFTs that need rendering. There's background of metaverses, and there is weapons in games, and everything, every single thing you can imagine that has more and more and more high definition needs rendering. It needs rendering. Giant corporations like Disney or any film company that makes animated movies requires weeks of $100 million computer just rendering their movie. So from little guys like you and me making little videos to giant corporations, everybody needs rendering. So what Disney does is they, out of their own pocket, pay $100 million, buy a giant computer because they need rendering in-house a lot. You and I need rendering maybe once a week, maybe once a day, but we don't want to buy a $100 million computer. So we just sit there, We just sit there. Well, the video that we just made renders, and we just sit there watching the wheel go round and round and round. Well, the company called Render, which means the coin called Render, has created a gigantic breakthrough. What they do is they contact owners of laptops. Well, there's a billion people that own laptops, and say, would you like to make money when you're asleep? Would you like to make money when you're not fully using your computer? And the answer is, of course, yes. And then they contact content creators like me and probably like you, and they say, would you like to render your videos really fast? And we say, yeah, sure. And so what happens is this: the company Render contacts owners and creators. And then I, as a creator, I pay a certain number of render tokens. Maybe 2 render tokens is $5 or 4 render tokens is $10. And that money goes to the owner of the computer that I'm borrowing or temporarily using their bandwidth. I'm using their CPU, I'm using their computing power. And so the owner of the computer earns 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 or 20 render tokens because we're using their resource. And guys like me that create content pay some render tokens in order to use that computer capability. And then the company or the coin Render takes a little bit off the top for their services. And it's a genius idea. It is a genius idea, but weirdly, it's unrecognized. The whales have recognized it, but no one else. So there's whales. Those are people that own 1,000 Ethereum or 1,000 Bitcoin. And then at the other end is the minnows that are the dumb guys that always lose. They always lose because they don't have a strategy. They just buy on a whim and sell on a whim. They have no strategies. And in real life, whales eat minnows, actually in real life. And also in crypto, literally, not literally, figuratively, imaginatively, metaphorically, the whales eat the minnows. Now you are not a minnow because you're learning, and you're not a whale because you don't have millions of dollars to invest. You are a dolphin because you have the wisdom through me of the whales, and you don't have the amount of coins that the whales have. So you're a dolphin, and whales don't eat dolphins. Whales like dolphins. And the dolphins and the minnows haven't figured out yet that Render's the next one to fly, go to the moon, go to the stars, go to another galaxy. It's just on the verge and it hasn't happened yet. This is the one to get into. Take a look at this next picture on your screen. You can see whalestats.com shows the top coins that whales are buying. USDC, well, that's just a stable coin. Ethereum, well, that's great. And then USDT, which is just a stable coin. And BUSD is like a stable coin. It's just a utility of Binance. And then the first altcoin is Render. Really the first one is Render. It's right at the top. The whales are buying and buying and buying, and you need to also. So let's look at the technical analysis, because we've just done the fundamental analysis. You'll notice that there's been 2 giant waves in Render. I've shown you the maximum lifetime of Render. It started June 14th of 2020, so it's almost 2 years old. And for the first year, it just sat there doing basically nothing, but the people who hodled got a big payoff, because the Render token went from about 20 cents way back in April of 2021. It went from about 20 cents to about $2. So that's 10x. In the second wave, it went from about $1 to about $8. So that's 8x. And every so often, it sits there for a year and then shoots up 8x or 10x. Well, it's now been sitting for about 6 months, just sitting there doing relatively nothing. And all of the weak hands, that is the investors that got in for a whim, basically the minnows, they've all sold out. They've lost interest. And basically everybody who wants to sell has already sold. And it's sitting there. It has a base at $2. It's unlikely it's going to ever go under $2 again. And it has a potential of going up 8x or 10x this year of 2022. I'm telling you, this year of 2022, because it's gone up by 8x and it's gone up by 10x. In other words, it likes going up in that range. So let's use the lower number. Let's use 8x. And it's sitting right now at $2.47. So let's round it to $2.50. $2.50 times the lower number of 8x is $20. $20. The MetaMan predicts that Render token, my favorite token, one of my largest holdings, my largest is actually XRP, but I love Render. And Render could go from $2.50 this year. By the next time it jumps up, it could go to $20. So if you want an 8x coin, man, this is it. And it's not a fly-by-night coin. It's not a game that maybe people will like or won't like. It is an absolutely mandatory utility that eventually tens of thousands and maybe millions of content creators are going to be using Render services to render or process their videos or their songs or anything they create that requires massive rendering. Now, what is my prediction for 2025? Listen very carefully. Look at the market cap. It's $525 million. That's $500 million. And now let's look at a company like Amazon. Amazon is worth $2 trillion. And yes, it makes money selling stuff. And yes, it makes money delivering stuff, but it's making a great deal of its money and more of its money from web-based services, offering the Amazon services, offering cloud services, just like Render offers cloud or web-based services. And I think that Amazon is providing a great job. And I think, actually, I know that Render is providing a great job, a great service, an important service, but the dolphins and the minnows just haven't figured it out yet. And so I think it's not going to go to 2 trillion like Amazon or like Apple, but it could go to $500 billion. And $500 billion is 500 billion, up from $500 million. That's 1,000x, 1,000x. If you want to be more conservative, instead of thinking it could go to $500 billion, what if that, which is 500 billion, let's say it goes to 50 billion, which I think is really easy. 50 billion from $500 million is 100x. I think by the year 2025, we are looking at 100x to 1,000x of a coin that is not even in the top 100, yet it's providing such important, powerful services. It's not fly by night like a metaverse that might fall out of favor. Maybe people will like Sandbox. Maybe they'll like Decentraland. Maybe they'll like Axie Infinity, and maybe they won't. Who the heck knows? Maybe but games can fly up in excitement and then the fad is over. But that's not the case. This is not a fad-based metaverse. This is not a fad-based game. This is mandatory rendering. It can't go out of style. Disney isn't going to say, we're not going to render any of our movies any longer. They have to, but they have the money to afford a $100 million computer in-house. Most of us don't. And as time goes on, the demand for higher and higher definition, more and more definition, more and more definition is going to mean that rendering is going to be more and more important. And our own little Mac computers or PC is not going to be able to handle the task any longer. And the Render token is going to soar by 2025 by 100x or 1000x Honest to gosh. Now, when that happens, am I going to be startled? Yeah, of course I'll be startled because I own lots of it. Am I going to be shocked? Well, yeah, I mean, I'll be able to afford 100 mansions. But am I going to be surprised? No, because I saw it coming. And here we are in early March of 2022. I put my name on it. I put my video launch. I'm going to launch this video so that you can hear it. I'm drawing a line in the sand saying 8x by the end of 2022 and 100 to 1,000x by the end of 2025. And let's just make that really clear. The actual US dollar price of render by the end of this calendar year 2022, I think will be $20. And by the end of 2025, when you multiply $2.50, which is the current price of the render coin, by 100, and if you multiply it by 1,000x, it's $2,500. $2,500. Wow, you are now far wiser than you were just a few minutes ago. And now is the time to subscribe to this channel, like this video, and send this to friends of yours so they can enjoy it as well. And comment below, do you believe me? Do you think I'm saying too high a prediction? Do you think I'm saying too low a prediction? Do you own Render? Do you want to own Render? What is your favorite coin? Put in the comments the answers to those questions. I love you. Please click on Meta in order to subscribe to my channel. And please click on this video, which is my most recent video, my previous one. And please click on that video, which Google and YouTube think is the most appropriate if you enjoyed this video.